All right, guys. So I want to go ahead and get started, but a couple things before we do. I wanted to make this really fancy. I really did, but I'm not. Instead, I'm just going to earn your trust. I'm going to bring value and let my content do the talking and the heavy lifting for me. So that way you can decide whether or not you want to continue with this journey as we roll forward. But I really want us to reframe the way we think about marketing, okay? I want to reprogram our brains and how you think about your marketing so that you can start making it work for you so that you can go out and when you deal with marketing activities on your own or hire a professional like myself and my company to handle book covers or social media or websites and things of that nature, you can have an actual informed conversation. You can control the narrative, and that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to control that narrative. That way, you're not being taken advantage of and you're making things work and making better decisions right now. So, I want this to be conversational. All right. So go cook your dinner and listen to this like a podcast, right? Go drive and listen to this and just soak it all in, but just take time and really listen. I promise this video is, out of a 5-part series is the longest one, but it's the foundation for everything going forward. And you really need to hear it in this format. Okay. So we're just going to have a conversation as friends and talk. And yeah, so sit back, learn you something, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys. Let's get started. So, you wrote a book. How freaking awesome. And I mean that, okay, truth. I'm one of those people, right? If you ask me, oh, how's it going? Oh, that's good. I'm in the process of writing my book. And y'all know what that means. Some of y'all know what that means. It means it's been a minute and that book's not done yet. Really has, okay? And so being around you guys and just listening to you move on to this next phase and try to figure it out and knowing that you completed your manuscript, you got it done, you clicked one more letter and then you hit save and you sat back and you were like, what? What? I finished. Like, I want that. I want that so bad talking to you. And I'm just so thankful that I've gotten to talk to a lot of you in private, help you out with your marketing questions, book cover questions, things like that, branding questions. And I'm just inspired and I wanted to give back because you've already given me back so much. I got my passion back, y'all, and I'm excited. So, I want to help out. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to help you get your marketing under control by understanding the whys behind these things. See, there's a lot of how to's out there. Can I get an amen from the freaking church? There are so many sites, and you've been on them, how to market, how to sell more, blah, blah, blah. And you've tried these tactics, tactic after tactic, strategy after strategy, and they just haven't worked for you. And that's because you don't understand the why powering these tactics and strategies. That's okay. It is absolutely fine. Why? Because the people who are giving you the tactics and strategies don't understand why it worked for them either. They just know that it did and they're trying to be helpful. That's cool. They do work, but you have to understand why so you know which directions to go to, when, how often, all these different things that play into it. You have to understand the universe, right? It's like babes in the kitchen. You get burned by the stove, even if you say, baby, don't touch the stove, it's hot. You're going to touch the stove anyway and then run out the kitchen. Y'all are burning right now, and I don't want you to run out the kitchen. I want you to stand in there and figure out all the tools and how all these things come into play so you can start making beautiful meals because beautiful meals nourish you and they bring people to you. Don't you love that? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it. So let's go ahead and start with why. Why aren't you selling right now? And I'm going to top level this thing, okay? You're an author. That's why. No, I'm not saying go hire somebody to do your marketing because most of us don't have the money to do that at scale, right? So that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're an author and you've trained yourself to think like an author. You really have. Let me ask you a question. Have you had a conversation and you look somebody in the eye and it twitched and you were like, what? I'm putting that in the book. or they said something and they said it with a little bit of twang or a little bit of swag, and you were like, yep, my character would say that. That's going in the book, right? You just logged it in the. Wait, how many of you had a conversation that went like, no, that's not you. Like, I didn't base that character off of you. That's somebody else, or I just made it up. Like, that's not you. Why would you think that was you? But it is you, Karen. I was talking about your unholy bangs and your beady little unjudgmental eyes and the way you came over here and asked me something asinine with that little chirping laugh because you could have done it yourself. Like, I'm sorry. I'm rambling. I'm rambling. Cut your bangs, Karen. Cut them. They scare me. All right, so you're an author. You've trained yourself to think a certain way. Not only that, you trained yourself to think a certain way about your book because it's not a book to you anymore. It's not. It's a testament. It's a testament to every late night you had, every early morning that you had. It's a testament to every fight you had with your spouse or significant other or friends because you decided to work on it instead of go out and spend time with them. It's a testament to your get it done attitude and the fact that you did do it. It's a testament to your intellect, right? It's a testament to your elitism, and that's okay. Like, I know some of you are like, I'm not elite. Well, yes, you are. It's okay. It's okay. You wrote a book. Like, there's 7 billion people in the world. There's thousands of people like me who are in the process of writing their book, and you got it done. Be proud of that elite status, man. Like, you earned it. I'm inspired by you, okay? You did it. You got it done. But it's shooting you in the foot because you can't let it go. And because it's not selling, and because that book has become a testament of you, an extension of your identity, you want to protect it and defend it. And so when it's not selling, you take it to heart. Even if you say you don't, it's a little bit discouraging to put that much work and put that much of yourself out into the universe for people to reject it. So my first stop is don't give up. Don't stop. I promise you, it will get better. I promise you, if you keep pushing, things will happen. But if you stop, you kill it. And by extension, you kill yourself because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can give up on you. You cannot give up on you. You got to keep going. But you should always think about pivoting. See, that's the beauty of being human. That's the beauty of owning this thing that is your book and your testament and your extended identity. You own it so you can pivot and try new things. And that's what I want you to do here. I want to reframe your brain. I'm going to pivot you away from author, and then I'm going to pivot you again away from self-publishing. And I'm going to kick you in the butt and launch you 2 feet firm into the muck of marketer in the land of marketing, because that's where the power lies, okay? But here's the thing. Self-publishing and self-marketing are 2 different beasts. You've got to understand the difference. Why? Because self-publishing, it's necessary. You've got to get it done. But guys, tell me something. Ain't self-publishing your comfort zone? Really, think about it. You can go on Google and you can look at sites and they will tell you exactly what you need to do, exactly a path to follow, and you can follow those steps and you can watch tangible self-publishing progress. Seriously, it's a comfort zone because it allows you to keep moving. It allows you to feel like you're in momentum, and you can neglect the really hard stuff that you don't understand, like marketing. Okay? Self-publishing lets you puff your author chest out because it's got cool lingo. You can talk KDP and you can talk ISBNs and cover dimensions and PODs and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's necessary. Get it done. But then you've got to pivot, baby. Like, you've got to move forward because at the end of the day, you got to get eyes on your book. No, let me take that back. You got to get people to read your book if you want to make this thing work. And that means you have to sell it. So what do we do? What do we do with this thing? Well, again, we realize that we've got to go away from self-publishing and we've got to move into self-marketing. And then we have to take the judo chop to the neck when we realize, as we put it out there with our marketing, that nobody cares. Nobody. If you're just starting out, if you don't have an audience base yet, nobody cares about the blood, the sweat, the tears, the coffee, the coffee with whiskey in it, and the whiskey with a little bit of coffee in it. They don't care about it, and that's okay. There's a reason. You don't exist. And I mean that. You do not exist. Take your mama out the equation. Take your spouse out the equation. Take your children. Take your coworkers out of the equation and look at the other 7 point whatever billion people in the world and tell me that they know you or what you've created. They don't. You don't exist. So they can't care about your book. Seriously. And you've got to understand that, and you've got to embrace it. The plot line that you created that is so awesome, the grand ideas that you put into this thing, the characters that are so freaking cool, the settings, the clothing, the lingo, none of it matters because nobody has read it. The only way for them to care is to read it and then fall into the plot line and then fall in love with those characters. And then they build relationships and then they love your book. And then by extension, they love you. But that's not going to happen until they read your book. Okay? So that's the rub of things. That's the thing that hurts. That's the thing that we have to overcome, and it's almost impossible, it seems, but it's not. We just have to figure out a few things, all right? So, what do we got to do? Well, that's a good question. I'm going to tell you what we have to do. We got to go back to that truth bomb I dropped earlier, that self-publishing and self-marketing are not the same thing. Why? Because self-publishing does something. Self-publishing or publishing, produces a product. Let me say that again. Publishing produces a product. Now, that might sound a little weird, so let me break it down because a lot of you are thinking, well, I wrote a book. Isn't that the product? No. Publishing produces a product. Your book already existed. It's not the product. It's not what you're supposed to sell. Guys, you can't sell your book. Remember, until they read it, they can't care about it. So you have to sell something else. Stephen King can sell his book. Anne Rice can sell a book. James Patterson can sell a book. J.K. Rowling can damn well sell a book. You can't. Yet. You can't. So you've got to sell what the readers want. So you're asking yourself, all right, if you're still here, you're definitely asking this question. Okay, if I wrote a book and I'm not supposed to sell it, then what am I supposed to sell? And I'm like, that's a good question. I'm going to ask one back. Are readers shopping for books? You might think you understand the answer to that. You might think you know it, but I'm telling you, we all get it wrong. Are readers shopping for books? That's a very subtle question, subtly worded question, guys, but it's a very, very critical one that you need to answer. So we're not going to answer it by just talking about it. Let me walk you through the process that a reader goes through when they're shopping in places that your book shows up at. And I'll explain to you why. Through this example, your book is not the product. You're selling the wrong thing. Let's get to it. All right, so walk with me. We're in the bookstore. We just stepped through the door. We're hovering like ghosts over the back of a shopper, a reader. And by the way, Readers know their genre. They've been to the bookstore, and this works for online vendors, works on Amazon, whatever. But for the sake of this example, we're talking about a bookstore, okay? So they know where their genre section is. They can make a beeline for it, but they step through the door and immediately they're assailed by a sea of books, an ocean of books. And not only that, they're assaulted by displays of the books that are just coming out, the real big name, big body ones that are just taking up all kinds of space, right? As soon as you walk in, they see it. And I guarantee you they see it. They look at those covers. They process those covers in their brain. And that is a key piece of information that we just don't think about as authors, as writers. But you have to if you're a marketer or a salesman. So let's dig into that. What's going on? See, you walk into a store and you're assailed by all of these books. Well, your brain is active at that point. And their brains, their readers' brains, okay, are processing things. And here's the rub. Our brains are meant to do a couple things, but one of them is keep us alive. And how it does that is by preserving calories, by directing what we do physically and what we do mentally, okay? It's the reason why cars can jump out at you and you say, where did that come from? Even though you've been driving next to the car for about 20 minutes now. It's because our brains process things. And then if it's not danger or it's not value, it bleeps it out. Just totally erases it. If you're looking for your keys, go look where you normally would leave it. It's probably there, or it's probably in a place that you would never leave something. And your brain just says, hey, it's not going to be there. Why would it be there? The only thing in the refrigerator is food. So when you go look in the refrigerator the first time, you don't see your keys. But when you send your spouse, she finds it in the refrigerator. It's because your brain is blanking out information that it doesn't need to process so that it can save calories. Calories equal energy. So when you leave the bookstore and you get assaulted by a lion, you have the energy to run away. That's what it's thinking. Primal ass brain. Excuse me for cussing. I'm working on it. All right. So now they're walking beeline, right? They're walking towards their genre section. For me, it would be science fiction. So I'm going to the back. And so I'm walking past aisle after aisle of books. I'm looking at things and they're just not what I'm looking for. Beautiful covers. Yes. Interesting ideas. Yes. Weird title. Yes. I see it, but it's not for me. So your brain is saying, look, these things in this certain situation that look a certain type of way, they're not giving me what I'm looking for. No, there's no danger, but there's also no value. So by the time I get to my section, by the time this reader we're following gets to their section, the brain has decided that a wall of books is unimportant and there's nothing of value in it. That's huge. All right, so what are they doing at the aisle now? Again, I'm a nerd. I'm a sci-fi guy, so that's what we're looking at. That's where we are. What are they doing in the sci-fi section? But it could be mystery, it could be drama, whatever. They're walking up and down the aisle slowly, hands clasped behind their back, one foot crossing in front of the other. They get to the end, and if there's not another aisle, what do? They turn back around and they do it again. But this time they're trying to override without thinking about it. They're trying to override their brain and tell it, no, find me a book. And yeah, I said, don't sell a book, but your reader is thinking, I want a book. But they're not. Why? Because if they wanted a book, why didn't they just grab a book the second they walked in and go to the cashier? And if they wanted a sci-fi book, why didn't they grab the first one that they landed on when they got to the sci-fi aisle and go up to the cash register and buy it? It's because they're not looking for a book. Look, they can walk up and down the aisle, and this time they might notice something they didn't notice before, a cover that's kind of cool, right? So they pick up that cover. Oh, now we get the little goosebumps, right? Because they picked it up. That's a good thing. That means the cover's working. And then they put it back. Okay. that author just lost the sale. They'll never pick that cover back up again. Not logically, right? Not numbers wise, they're not going to pick it up again. So they continue on. And this time they see something down at the bottom, so they kneel down. And some of us know when you kneel down, the knees get to cracking, right? It starts hurting a little bit, pop, pop. But I'm like that. And they kneel down and they pick up another cover. It's beautiful. They look at the cover, it speaks to them, and then they turn it over and good God, they read the summary. I just beat it in my chest. I don't know why. It was just, I felt it. They pick it up and they read the summary and they think, man, that sounds cool. That's a really cool sounding story. I like that. And then they put it back. What in the hell is happening right here? What is going on? Everything went right. They even liked the summary, but they put it back. Remember when I said you're not selling a book? Well, think about it. Everything they've seen up to this point, the second they walked into the store, is a book. Everything on the display is a book. Everything in the aisle is a book. The cover they picked up and put back is a book. The cover they picked up and turned around and read the summary, and the summary was awesome. That summary was about a book, a story. But why are they there if they won't buy the book? It's because they're not looking for one. See, they're trying to recreate an experience that they had before. And it's a very specific experience to them. So everything needs to lockstep and push towards that past emotional experience that they had with a novel that they had in the past. That's what they're searching for, a recreation of that. But here's the thing. Logically, even though they think they're looking for a book or a story and they're not, logically, they know that to find or recreate that experience, they'd have to read the book. Why? Because when they had that experience, they were not in a bookstore. They were not walking around in jeans and high heels or boots and coats. They were in their house, sitting down, curled up, undistracted, right? Like they had an experience. They got a chance to fall into the story and then fall into the characters. And all of those things that went on in the book started creating not plot lines and not scenes, but emotions. They were sad. They were happy. They were shocked. They were frustrated. Why did you make that noise when you know the killer is in the other room? Why would you go in there? Like, right? They were feeling things. It's not a scene that they're trying to recreate or a setting or a plot line. It's the feelings that they felt. So when they look at those book covers, as beautiful as it might be, even yours, if it doesn't trigger what they felt before, they put it down. And if the book cover triggers what they felt before, and then they turn it around and they read the plot line, but the plot summary doesn't trigger one of those emotions that they felt before, they put it back. You're selling the wrong thing, and you have to stop. Burn yourself on the stove if you got to, but you have to figure out how to make that meal. Don't sell your book. You need to understand your audience and what they've experienced in the past. You have to understand your genre. You have to understand what's popular now. You have to understand what's been popular for the last 70 years, those genre classics. And then you have to reference what made those feelings, what generated those feelings in everything you do with your marketing. And guys, marketing is tools, okay? Or are tools. Marketing, I don't know how to say it. Marketing is a tool, and it has tool sets that you need to use. Your cover is a tool. It's a marketing tool, and it's meant to deliver a message. Your summary is a marketing tool, and it's meant to deliver a message, the same message that your cover delivers. Okay? When you post on social media about your book, that's a marketing tool, and it needs to push the same message that your cover and your summary pushed. Not in the same way, they're different tools for different things, but the underlying message needs to be the same. It needs to trigger what happened in the past for your reader audience. That's the key. That's what you're selling. It's not your book, it's a past emotional experience. And you have to get adept at communicating that. Now, I keep saying message. Why? Because marketing and the tools are just delivery vehicles. Guys, Facebook could be gone in 5 years, but something else will pop up. You're going to have to figure out how to communicate that message through whatever is new, whatever's hot, whatever is popular, okay? They're tools. So your message needs to be the underlying power, the underlying engine of your success here, okay? That's the brand, okay? When you hear people say you need to build an author brand, an author platform, they don't understand that it's not your face and it's not your two dogs that are going to connect. Those things can help, but more importantly, you have to use your author brand to deliver the message, the promise that you understand the experience that they had in the past. You know what experience they had in the past. You connected with the same experience they had in the past, and you promised to deliver something along the lines of that experience with a little new flavor to it now with your book. People tell you all the time you need to get original with your cover artwork or what. No, that's an artist telling you what an artist thinks. Let a marketer tell you what a marketer knows. Cliches work because they are communication tools, and communication has to happen fast in this environment. You have 0.2 seconds for somebody to look at your cover and decide it doesn't look like something else. If you're a sci-fi guy, it can't look like a thriller. Right? And you have to have 0.2 seconds in order to communicate that. That's why cliches work. That's why they're still around, because they communicate quickly what an audience needs to know. That's why they work. That's why they keep sticking around. That's why you see the same things over and over again, just repackaged in a different way, a different flavor, something that is more in tune with the times of now, but underlying it all is the same message that's been going on before. It's about communication at this point. Don't let an artist tell you something different. Don't let an artist let their pride drive you away from sales. You control this thing by communicating. That's what brand is. It's a conversation you're having when you're not around. And that conversation has two parties, you and what you put out with your marketing, and the audience. And it's a value exchange. You're asking for their money, which they worked hard for, and more importantly, their time, which you can never refund. And for them, they're asking for the promise that they're going to have an emotional experience that hit them as powerfully as the one they had before did. That's it. That's what this is all about. And when you get good at accepting that and then figuring it out and then communicating that back to them, oh my God, you're going to see some changes. I promise. Like, you really will. I really wanted to get this out, and I really wanted you guys to understand the journey that's taking place. It's not about you. You go away. You live in the pages of your book, and you have to let your writing do the heavy lifting in order to keep your pride in check. It's not about you. At this stage in the game, it's all about them. So shift your thinking, shift the way you communicate, and I ain't going to say I guarantee, that's a bad thing to say, but you will see results. That I can definitely say. You will see results, all right? So If you understand that, then understand this. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about cover design and getting a little more technical with it, but still, it's about thought process and shifting the way we do things. And from there, I'll walk you into that summary, and then we'll go into social media, and then somebody just turned on the shower, and that's okay. That's what that sound is, but we're going to keep going. And then we're going to end up where we end up, and you guys are going to talk, and we're going to have a conversation, okay? But that's it for now. We pivoted your brain. How does it feel? Let me know in the comments, all right? Later, guys.